Hello, Iris J here with Madrona's Pulse Teachings, Astrology for Healing. I hope that this finds folks doing well. I would love to chat with you today about the Aquarius Full Moon, which is happening on August 1st. Like, we're coming into August with this Aquarius Full Moon here on the west coast of Canada. It's at 11:31 a.m. on the 1st. It's happening between 9 and 10 degrees of Aquarius. So you always want to have a look at your chart, see what houses that's falling in, how this is going to be personally impacting us in our psyche, in our chart, in our lives. And before I even get into that, the energies of this full moon, I just want to contextualize a little bit. Like, let's just recap a little bit of, this is the moon, the full moon that's coming out of us being in this cycle of the new moon that came in Cancer. That was a new moon opposite Pluto, square the nodes, and the moon keeps going on, and then the sun came into Leo season. But those nodes and that Pluto are still squaring each other. It's still exact. It's still very tight. In mid-August, it's going to start opening up a little bit more. But just knowing that the energies that Cancer new moon was really working with us, what I was kind of calling this cocoon of birthing and hopefully cultivating a bit of a sanctuary for ourselves, that birthing energy, that birthing energy that comes in simultaneously. We're talking about Pluto and the nodes. It comes in simultaneously with the death cycle, the ending cycles, both within stages of our lives, within actual cycles of life and death. This is all, it's all pretty heavy. It's all pretty big. And this is the energy that we're coming into now a full moon with. So within the smaller cycle, in the new moon and the full moon, we go in, we kind of ebb and flow in and out. And now something's coming into illumination after having been in that what we call the dark phase of the moon with the new moon. But I just want to start with that context so that for those folks that are feeling tired, for those folks, whether that's coming from the body or it's coming from life situations out in the world, or it's both of them meeting, usually it's both of them meeting, that it's okay. And if you're not feeling that, that's great. But if you are feeling some of that exhaustion, this is a big transit, and it's a big transit for the collective. It's representative of the huge cycle of Pluto shifting into Aquarius, which is asking whole new manifestations of humanity, which is going to influence all of us in our individual stories and lives. And so there's just big things going on. And so with that Pluto square the nodes, you might need to rest a little bit more, even though it's Leo season. Even though all those memes are telling us we should be walking a red carpet, you might need to rest, okay? But that said, we do have a full moon. We do have a full moon in Aquarius, which means that moon is opposite the Leo sun. So we've got the Leo sun, the moon is in Aquarius. They're exactly opposite. That's what creates our full moon. And what are some of the themes that are coming up with this moon? So the Aquarius full moon, this is what is coming into illumination around our creative drive, our creative expression, which is that Leo sun, as it is able to enter into the collective, enter into community, how it is able to shape our individual self that actually goes beyond our individual self and out into the world. Whatever that means for us, whether that is our local community where we live, it's an online community, it's where we work, it's something that we've been cooking up for a little while, and it's something that we're kind of envisioning in the future, whether that's 2 months or 2 years. There is an illumination happening with the Aquarius full moon about the way that our own gifts and our individual spirit. Aquarius is that archetype of the rebellious genius. I don't know, I love that phrase, the rebellious genius. Most of my clients like to work with that. You know, it's the part of us where we have Aquarius in our chart. So you absolutely want to see where you have 9 to 10 degrees of Aquarius in your chart. And this kind of rebellious genius. And why is it the rebellious genius? Because the archetype of Aquarius is that it's always about the evolution. It's about growth. It's about pure higher mind energy. Aquarius is an air sign, and it is pure higher mind. This is third eye energy. We could be getting kind of an Aquarius full moon. Absolutely. You can get downloads. You can get visions. You can get sudden insights. They happen with lightning sudden speed. We don't really do anything. They just come. And this could be about visions for your own life. This could be about little glimpses of the future of how you're going to be living your life. This could be about plans that you have for yourself. This could be plans for the way that you can shine out into community, out into the collective. And the reason it's that kind of rebellious genius is because Aquarius is about going beyond the mainstream. It is about going beyond the status quo. Aquarius energy is not about fitting in. It is not about keeping things the same. It is about what can bring us into the next stage of evolution. So we're going to be potentially getting some insights about that for our own self, our own journey. The Leo energy, the Leo sun, that's all about our creative impulse. That's about our creative process. And then the polar side of that is the Aquarius, which is actually one of our signs that's beyond. So it's beyond the ego. So even though we love to attach this idea of the rebellious genius, true Aquarius energy is not coming at that from an egoic place. Healthy Aquarius energy is pure higher mind. It is pure vision. It's the visionary, and it's the way that creative process of self-actualization can shine out and beam out into the collective. And so this is really a time when we do, I feel like I'm always saying it's a great time to journal. I'm a big advocate of journaling in so many different layers, but when we're dealing with air energy, when we're dealing with a sign that brings in images, that brings in visions, especially if you're just kind of like all of a sudden you're washing your dishes and then you just have this little daydream and you picture yourself in a kind of different life or a kind of different narrative. Around the Aquarius full moon, we want to pay attention to those little daydream narratives, and especially if they come up a couple of times, and it might be lovely to just write them down. It doesn't mean that we're all psychics and we're just seeing our future life. Timelines shift. We're in a changing timeline era right now, but we are getting glimpses of the energy, and it might be something that plants a seed that we're going to expand with later, okay? Because this is happening in a time when we are in a much bigger cycle of transformation. So we want to hold that. What else is going on with this full moon? So the full moon itself, the sun and the moon are squaring Jupiter. They're squaring Jupiter. This thing barks a lot, and I am sorry for interrupting. As I was trying to talk about the fact that this full moon is squaring Jupiter. Okay, so Jupiter is in Taurus, and you know, Jupiter expands. Jupiter expands that what it's talking to. And so firstly, those visions, those daydreaming visions, as we're kind of doing our our tasks, or however they come to us, or maybe we're properly meditating. Who knows when they come? They come when they come. You know, there's an expansiveness so that those images could be really clear, and yet that Jupiter is in Taurus. Taurus is deeply rooted energy. We might also really, in a nice supportive way, you know, not just get the vision, but also have ideas about how to materialize some of these visions that are coming to us, how to bring them into the plane here in the solid earth plane in a deeply rooted way. And there's more earth energy here in that Jupiter is also while it's squaring the full moon, it's also trining Mars in an exact trine. And so, you know, that's a very supportive aspect for that Jupiter energy. And Mars, excuse me, Mars there is in Virgo, more earth energy. And Mars in Virgo likes to know how it's doing things. It has a kind of meticulous plan. It wants to move through that plan. And Mars in Virgo does want to move. So even though, you know, these might be images or words or however Aquarius energy works for us. For some people, it comes through an image of a vision. For others, it is just kind of stream of conscious journaling. It can also come in dreams. For others, it is just kind of a download, and then we have a narrative. It really depends on us. But there's that Mars energy in Virgo that does want to absolutely write it down, that potentially even wants to make a plan. It doesn't mean that that's the plan of our next stage. It doesn't mean that that's, you know, however big or small these kind of insights could be. But they're like, if you feel the pull to write it down, if you feel the pull to even do something that really actualizes a small step of what it is that you feel is coming up in your life, with this Aquarius full moon, you might want to do that. That said, we also have Mercury, who is there in Virgo and is opposite Saturn. Saturn is retrograde, it's in Pisces. And, you know, that Mercury energy, when it's, you know, and this is just during the full moon itself, but Mercury opposite that Saturn, who is going through Pisces, who is cleaning up the Pisces areas of our life, of our chart, of our psyche, who is helping us to see what is ready to be let go, as, you know, because that Saturn is then eventually going to go into Aries and it's going to start a whole new cycle. So there's absolutely a letting go process in the Pisces part of our chart psyche during this entire transit of Saturn through Pisces. And at this moment, during this full moon, that's an opposition in which we don't necessarily need to make sense. It's almost more of a pausing energy than a figure things out energy, than a write everything down and have the 5-year plan. That's not really how Mercury is working right now. It's more of a pause, because that Piscean energy, that Saturn in retrograde is stronger than the Mercury that wants to figure things out. And so as much as we have some of that Mars Virgo energy, we want to feel it in our bodies. We want to honor that, but we also might want to just acknowledge the ideas that are coming in, acknowledge the changes that are happening. And the last aspect that we can look at is, this is an Aquarius moon, so we want to check in with Uranus, who is, we would say, the ruler of Aquarius. And Uranus is also in Taurus, okay? And Uranus is, during this full moon, in an exact sextile with the asteroid Juno, okay? So Juno is our traditional goddess of marriage. She rules long-term commitments, long-term partnerships. She is absolutely a place where we look, and she's in Cancer when we're looking at kind of long-term commitments, whether they're in our love life or business or friendships. And, you know, just that Uranus is there having that kind of smooth conversation with our goddess Juno. How can we commit to ourselves? How can we commit to nurturing ourselves? This is, you know, as much as these images are coming through, that another layer of the Uranus Aquarian energy is that they're here to also be something that is part of maybe a long-term commitment to nurturing ourselves. And how can we bring that insight in? That's just another layer that we want to honor, that we want to respect. And the last piece of that is that Uranus is also squaring Venus. So two divine feminine energies there, and that ruler of the full moon. And Venus is in her retrograde in Leo, which is a dominant energy at this time during this full moon. And, you know, she's in a state of really helping us to reevaluate and re-empower and potentially drastically shift for that empowerment of our own values, of the way the divine feminine is embodied in our life, in our passions. She's in Leo, entering into a new phase of the Venus cycle, as this as this retrograde will come to a completion. And so again, you know, just as that Uranus is talking to that divine feminine that's asking us to make sure that we are also including the self-nurturing commitments for ourselves, also the self-love in the futures that we are birthing for ourselves, that has to be here. And self-love that is sustainable. This Uranus and Taurus movement is all about radicalizing sustainable lives for ourselves, for the collective, for the earth. And Venus, you know, the way that we develop, cultivate self-love practices is very important for that sustainability. And so that's another lens that's just coming in, that divine feminine, juicing it up as we kind of come into this illumination of our Aquarian selves. Again, that individual creative self that has something to share with the collective, with community, in, you know, whatever community means to us. And with that, I wish you all well, and I will see you soon. Take care.